Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, welcome back to another Festive Friday. To be honest, I set out to make this gradated card where the layers going across get slightly bigger, but when I had cut that out of the piece of 6x6 designer series paper, I thought, oh, I could use that piece. Oh, you know what, I think I'll save that piece and use it for another card. And then I thought, well, what the heck, while I'm showing you this card, why don't I just go ahead and do another one sheet wonder? So here we go. It's really, it was on the fly. It was impromptu. But you know what? That's sometimes the way it goes, isn't it, with stamping? So I took a piece of 6x6 designer series paper, which came out of the Splendid Autumn 6x6 pack, which is in the Holiday Mini catalogue. And as you know, the Holiday Mini catalogue is what inspired Festive Friday. So this is why this one is going out today. So what we need to make this card was a piece of 3.5 by 3.5 paper that's got sort of a landscape or a defined pattern. So I thought, well, that's easy enough. So we'll cut it at 3.5. Just line the edge of the paper up at 3.5 and chop the bottom off. And there is the one sheet wonderishness of that one. And actually, while I'm busy, I will go and cut that down to 5.5 because that's what it's going to be. This little piece definitely is just a spare. So there is one piece for another card. So now we've got this little piece, and what we need to do is cut it in pieces that get gradually bigger. So I'm just going to do those measurements across the paper trimmer. So I'm going to cut it first of all at half, so 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to cut it at 3/4 inch. So every piece is getting gradually 1/4 inch bigger. And then I will cut it at 1 inch. And of course, I'm keeping the papers in the order in which they were cut. And then the last one is 1¼ inches, which is what gives us this extra piece to make this card. So I'm going to pop those off to one side because that's the main focus of the video. And I will bring in the other element that it was then decided that I would need. So I took a piece of balmy blue, and this is 4¼ by 11, which would normally score 5.5, make into a card. Easy peasy. But I'm going to cut it down to 3 inches. And then the 3-inch piece, I'm going to cut 4¼ Whoops. So 4¼ line it up at 4¼ on the paper trimmer. The next piece needs to be 5 inches. And then we have this 1½ inch piece, which I did not use. So now we've got, let me just bring in the pieces. We've got 3 by 4¼ we've got 3 by 5, and we do have that extra little piece. And then the 11 by 1¼ inch strip, I'm going to cut into 2 pieces of 5.5. And then cut this one down by half. So that's going to be 5/8, isn't it? 5/8. It doesn't really have to be exact because it's actually going to get tucked under. But that's all the pieces cut. So I will put this template on my blog. So here are the pieces cut to the sizes. I don't know where I put my little piece. So that was how I cut down the balmy blue. So these 2 pieces we need, and one of these. These ones we don't need. We can pop those into use these for a different card box. Here's the template. It will be on my blog. And then what I also needed were 3 pieces of fresh Fuchsia, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4¼ So they are all folded over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the big piece and bring in my silicone mat and run adhesive down the back of it and just stick this on. It doesn't have to be any particular width or height or anything. It can basically just be as wide as you would like it to be. And then we'll put some more adhesive on the back of the joined together piece and stick it to the front of one of the fresh freesia pieces. So there, it's good and ready to be a card. And I can actually see there's a little piece where it's blue there, so I'm just going to bring in my snips and take that away. So that's the basis of one of the cards. The next card is going to use the bigger piece, the 5 by 3 inch piece, and I'm just going to stick this onto here so it's got a nice border around, and then using dimensionals I'm going to attach this to one of the card bases. So fling the backing papers out of the way. Oops. And then we can stick that on there, and then eventually it too will have a greeting. So we've got 2 cards kind of almost nearly made, but then let's get on to the main focus of the card. So this piece is 4 1/4 by 3, and I am going to line up all of my pieces in the order that the pattern flows across them, and just pop some adhesive about a 1/2 inch down from the edge on each of these. And then what I'm going to do is, leaving a 1/4 inch distance between each piece, is I am going to pop these onto here. Leave about a 1/4 inch. I'm not pressing them down firmly just in case I need to move them, but hopefully the 1/4 inch should be just enough of a distance between. This one looks like it's going to be a tad skinny, so I am just going to pop this one a little bit further over. So now we've got the pattern of everything with the balmy blue, which coordinates with the sky, and I am just going to bring in some more dimensionals. Pop some quickly on the back of that as a whole unit, and bring in the last of the fresh freesia card bases. So then all we have left to do is stamp some greetings. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to pop that onto the front. Actually, I can see there's like a 1/32. Sometimes it's just the way it falls into the paper trough, and if that happens, it's best to put that bit on the back. So now we've got 3 cards that just need some greetings. So I went ahead and cut out 3 basic white banners using the styler shapes. So I went ahead and did that already. And what I'm going to be using is the Friends for Life set, because it had all the greetings that I thought would be quite nice to use. And I'm going to bring in the fresh freesia and the balmy blue inks, because that's what we will be using. So we'll start with the thank you, and that will be in fresh freesia. Oops. So that's a nice thank you. And because this is already up on dimensionals, we don't need to add any further to the greeting because it might make it too fat to make it through the mail. So I am going to just pop that on the front, and that one's done. The next greeting using the fresh freesia is the happy birthday. So again, we'll just ink it up and stamp that. I still do need actually the fresh freesia, but we'll put a couple of bits of adhesive on the back of there and attach that to the front. So we've got those two sets made. This one just needed a bit of something because that's quite a big gap to fill. So what I did was I took the best and the wishes. So I'm just going to stamp best off to one side, as far left as it will comfortably go on the banner. And then we'll do the wishes in the balmy blue because it can overlay, and we'll stamp that as far right as it will go, but we do know that it is going to overlap. So there we have it, best wishes. And because this one doesn't have any dimensionals on, we are going to pop those onto the back of the greeting. So there you have it. Out of the intent of doing a gradated card, actually managed to do a almost one sheet wonder. There are a few little pieces left. So there you have them all. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate thumbs up. If you've got any comments or questions, pop those in the description box below. God, can't talk. Pop those in the description box below, and I will always answer any comments or questions that you may have. And last but not least, thanks so much for watching.